got inside it.
Hey, what's up, guys? Brett from Haptic Intel here.
Bark, bark, you.
You suck you off, Bill.
Oh, Josh, I hear screaming.
Oh yeah!
Gone. The controller's gone.
Look at that. You look fucking fantastic.
Welcome to Haptic HQ.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Haptic Intel, coming at you live from inside of Haptic HQ. Today, we are joined by Christian King from Say Before Quitting podcast. Spoiler discussion, review, talking about Guardians of the Galaxy for you all today. Brett is still on vacation, obviously, hence why I'm joined by Christian in this nice little screen that HBot rolled out for you. So
Flarking ready, man.
how long did you plan that? How long have you been thinking about doing what you just did?
For like 2 hours when I found it by accident when cleaning my room.
So it's
But,
a happy accident.
Yeah. This is the Mario model though.
Mario model.
The Chris Pratt Mario model. So it's not the game one.
Oh, nice.
Bad.
Nice.
But
yes.
yeah, I'm excited
Christian-
to be here. I'm
Christian
excited to play the
being
game.
beamed in on an LG TV, only the best. It's actually a haptic branded TV if you look at the logo on the bottom of it. So just want to say. But yeah, so we are talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, just preface by saying I will specifically denote sections that we are talking spoilers versus non-spoilers in. There will be something that pops up on the screen so you will know. So if you want to stay here for the non-spoiler section once we start that, and then once you see that spoiler tag go up, walk away and then come back later, that's totally fine, but we will let you know. But I wanted to start, well, first of all, saying thank you for joining me, Christian. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, thanks for having me.
Second of all, I wanted to start with just talking about very generally our overall thoughts, opinions, and kind of hop into maybe some more specific non-spoilery stuff.
Yeah. I mean, overall for me, it's. Are we giving it like a score out of 10? Is that?
If you want to,
Yeah.
or a recommendation, your general thoughts about how you felt on it. If you had to give somebody an elevator pitch on the game, that.
If I were to give it a rating out of 10, I'd say a solid 8 or a 9 right now, depending on if they fix some stuff, which we'll get to, I assume.
Yeah.
In probably the spoiler section more likely.
Right.
But I heavily recommend buying this game. I did not want to buy this game day one, and then I did. I actually wanted to pre-order it so that I would get all the skins and whatnot, like the pre-order bonus. And I just didn't even realize the game had come out pretty much. And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let me just buy it and play it. And then from like even just the first 30 minutes of the game, I was already enamored by the whole entire world that it was being put in. And it was a shock at the, I don't want to say like upgrade, but the rise in quality compared to the last game that they had made in the Marvel universe, to say the least. But
Yeah.
honestly, probably one of the most fun I've had playing a game this year. And I've played like Ratchet and Clank, the new one and shit. But like, as you can see by the title of the stream, game of the year maybe. Honestly,
Yeah. So I'm in the same boat as you. I forgot this game even existed up until the week or two before it came out, because Brett and I were talking about it on the podcast as it was like an upcoming release, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that game existed. But I was super hesitant because Square Enix was publishing it, and the last game that they made in the Marvel realm, not too hot, at least at launch, so it gave me pause. did not buy it immediately at launch, and then I started seeing how many good reviews it was getting, and you were talking about it specifically, and I was like, I am playing Death Stranding right now, but I need to change it up a little bit, so I got it. I started playing it, and yeah, I mean, it might be up there with my Game of the Year candidates right now. Um, so eh, score, I don't know. I think I'd probably be in the same boat as you, 8 or 9 out of 10. There's some technical issues that definitely hinder it, but story wise, character wise, are great. Gameplay is nothing to call home about, I don't think.
Yeah, I can agree with
But
that.
from a character and a story perspective, it's awesome. So
Yeah.
And Brett just did jump on the chat here. He says, since we're giving it praise, it's worth mentioning that you can pick up the game for $50 right now at Walmart, and Target has separately from Walmart has the buy two get one free deal if you're interested in the game. But
That's worth it.
So clearly we both liked it. So let's hop into some more specific non-spoilers. So this is the non-spoiler section. Okay, so no spoilers yet, so Christian, also avoid that, and I'm going to try my best to avoid that as well. And then if we get to a point where it's like we can't talk about it anymore, then we'll just transition.
Gotcha.
But first and foremost, I guess I just want to do general thoughts on, I guess, the story and the characters first, because that's what stands out most to me, I think, when I think about the game. So what are your overall thoughts on maybe like the story narrative itself and any highlights from the characters?
As far as the story goes, without getting too deep into like the specifics, I'd say it is an insanely fun ride that you lose track of time in. There were multiple nights when I was playing that game and I was up till like 3 in the morning, not even realizing it, just because like I was so in the world. Other than that, like there's so many twists and turns, things you don't expect to happen, and then obviously if you're only familiar with the movies and that rendition of the characters, it's completely different. And off of that as well, the characters in this are so much better than they are in the movie. Um, I remember when the movie first came out, I started reading the Star Lord comics that had come out at the time because I was like, I'll get back into comics with it a little bit. And the comic version that I was reading at the time, it was so weird because like it's him being like this space cowboy, completely different from Chris Pratt. He's in like a relationship with Kitty Pryde on Earth from the X-Men and shit. And it's just like this whole like different person entirely than what we got in, I forget what year it was, specifically like 2014-ish, around there, I
Yeah.
think. But and it's just refreshing to say the least, from coming out of the MCU with their big climax in the last couple of years or so, and having that being like the defining Guardians of the Galaxy in everyone's brains, and having Baby Groot on every fucking aisle in every store, to have this come out and just be a complete departure from that, focus heavily on Star Lord, on his like actual upbringing and actually what happened with him, and then just dive headfirst in with, you guys are a team, you guys are having issues and like relationship problems obviously at the same time, because that's the Guardians, that it's their basic thing. And you just dive headfirst. It's not really even an origin story, but it is at the same time, and it does it really well and subtly enough where you're not like, this again, another origin story game, where you're just like, yeah, I'm picking up on a new adventure that the Guardians are like, on.
Yeah, I think where the movie feels very much like almost like a caricature of these characters, the game gives them proper breathing room, right? Like you are dropped in and you feel like you're on a team, you know what I mean? Like there's clearly already like established relationships there, but they're just starting to establish, and I think that's very evident from the beginning, because everybody is fighting with each other. Nobody's on the same page. I mean, Drax calls Gamora like the assassin, like clearly, like it's, so there's like these things that hint at, okay, this is a team, but there's like shaky ground between a lot of them. And then over the course of the story, obviously that builds and you really get to know these characters, and they have proper breathing room that not only develop them themselves as individuals, but develop the team, develop the relationships between Star-Lord and the different characters, which is where I think this game really shines. And each character has a defining moment, in my opinion, in the story, which it is baked in, I guess, almost for a gameplay reason, but also that complements the characters' stories themselves. Everybody has to overcome this thing in the game that is a darker kind of, I guess, subset of themselves, in the sense that they see something that they really want, but in reality doesn't exist and they can't have it. So you, as Star-Lord, have to help them overcome all of that, in turn making the team stronger. And for a good part of the game, there's always somebody that's on the outs with the team, whether it's Drax or Rocket or Gamora. Like, there's constant conflict, which I think is one of the best parts about this game, is that it's not shy to be like, yeah, okay, we're gonna have 3 or 4 chapters here where you and Rocket are not on the same page, and it's gonna annoy the hell out of you. But it makes sense, because it is annoying the hell out of the character that you're playing, because it's like ridiculous, and it depends on the choices that you make as well. But so
yeah, man. I'd say that's another thing that I really love too, like the choices in the game that really
yeah,
actually felt like they mattered,
yeah,
as opposed to some other games where like you have choices and it's like they make you feel like the choices matter, but there's always the same end goal. But and the funny thing is, like, I'm pretty sure it's that way with this game. Like we were always going to end the same way
sure,
without spoiling it, but like it makes you feel like the what you chose, no matter what it was, it perfectly flowed into that ending, no matter which way you went, left or
right,
right, on the decisions you're making, whether or
yeah,
not you're being just like a huge douche to Rocket and you're like, nah, fuck you, you're in the wrong, or if you're like Rocket, like, dude, we're a family, let's stop being assholes to each other.
right,
And that was one thing that I really thought was beautiful about the game, just having all of these characters, like, and all of their fucking problems. And like the another thing that's amazing about it, in my opinion, is like we don't even know everything too. Like they allude to so much shit that
oh
happened
yeah,
in their past, and we have no context for it. We just have to be like, yeah, that's a thing that happened that strained the fuck out of the relationship or made it better. And we just have to go with it and move with it, because we're dropped in at this point where they're like already like an established team, and it just
right,
feels good. I don't know. And
yeah,
I'm excited to maybe see some sort of sequel in the future.
so,
Um
certainly, yeah,
I'm not sure what it would be, but
hmm
I'm at the same time, I'm just like, more. Just give me more of all of those, like the voice acting cast. They were all fucking phenomenal.
yeah, far
And
better than anybody in the movie. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. The only one that I would say maybe could contest is maybe Dave Bautista as Drax, like, because I feel like those were on par with each other in performance wise.
hmm
Um, because like I mean, Drax is kind of a flat character, the way that he like,
hmm
um, the way that he emotes himself, I guess.
hmm
But yeah, it was a solid, amazing game, and if you have the chance, please fucking buy it as soon as possible.
Yeah. So, I guess a couple more things before we move on to spoiler heavy stuff.
Yeah,
You mentioned choices, and choices weigh heavily on the gameplay. There are things that you have to do in the story that can help you or hurt you later on. I won't say what they are, because pretty sure each one of those would probably be a spoiler if I said it.
yeah,
But they have effects on it. And the gameplay itself, like I mentioned at the top, is nothing special, nothing new. I mean, this is effectively Mass Effect Light, in my opinion, in the sense that there is RPG elements. It's not a hardcore RPG like Mass Effect 2 specifically, or 1 rather specifically is, but there's RPG like elements, and you have to command your squad to do different things. Right, they
hmm,
have different abilities. Each one has 4 abilities that you can unlock throughout the course of the game. The last ability that you unlock for them is story related.
hmm,
So the gameplay, it's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't super engaging. And I think the flip side of that too is like the puzzle solving is fairly easy, and finding collectibles is fairly easy. Like, so there wasn't really
yeah,
a ton of challenge there. Now I played the game on normal, so I don't know what that says, but even when I ramped up the difficulty for certain fights, because I had to try to get collectibles and other trophies, which we'll talk about later. Um, I'd never felt that the challenge was really that tense.
yeah. Um, as far as the gameplay goes, I would say that was like the least good part of the game.
Yeah.
Like, not to be like a dick about it, but like it was just very basic and like I don't want to say boring, like, but at the
Mm-mm.
same time, I had more enjoyment and I had more fun after the fights. Like,
Yeah.
once the fight was over, I'm like, great, the fight's over. Now I can experience this team again. And I can make my choices again, and like I can actually do the things. Um, it was kind of clunky in some parts with like
Certainly. Yeah.
there were some bugs that held us back. I don't know if it's
Mhm.
much of a spoiler, but in certain areas, I would get like, like you use your flying boots for certain
Mhm.
fights or something. You want to get the high ground for a second,
Right.
and like maybe you land on some rocks that weren't supposed to be landed on.
Right.
You're stuck there forever,
Hmm.
literally. And you have to reload to your last checkpoint, and that's the only fucking option. And that happened to me a decent amount of times. I'd say no more than 10.
Hmm.
But each time it happened, I was just like, oh, it's this again, and then just reset it back. So that was kind of annoying. But as far as like the third person shooter aspect of it, it really didn't, you know, it wasn't amazing, but it was also not bad. It's a hard line
It
to
was
walk.
serviceable. It
Yeah.
was serviceable. And to answer some questions in the chat, it is a third person shooter. Uh, there are boss fights. There's not a ton. There's
I'd say
like
the boss fights are like minimal
there's like
and like
maybe 4 of them, and none of them are particularly that good.
yeah. I mean one is really good in my opinion,
Well, if we're talking about
but
the
without spoiling. Yes.
yeah, the Fing Fang Foom, that was a spoiler.
It wasn't me.
That one. What is the best? One of the best, in my opinion. I don't know if
Yes.
that's what you're referring to.
That was what I was referring to, Josh.
I shouldn't have
That
said
thing
that.
that you didn't say anything about.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. But yes, you command your team, just like Mass Effect, and you play as
Yeah.
Star-Lord. But so the gameplay is serviceable. It's not great. It's fine.
Yeah. One thing I will say that was very clunky about the commanding your team thing, I don't know if it was a controls thing or if it was just me and like my goofy hands or whatever, but you control your team by pressing L1 and then you press like a square, triangle, circle, or X to do a specific character, and then you press it again to do the specific move of their 4 moves.
Hmm.
And I would always accidentally be like, okay, now it's time for me to do my moves as Star Lord, and then I would somehow hit the
Yes.
L1 and R1 when I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Which don't get me wrong, that was always a fun time to do. You would like gather your team together, and then like they all say like buzzwords or some shit that show up behind them, and you have to choose the correct like hype up
Yeah.
speech to make them get together and like have power ups or just revive people if like you really need to.
Hmm.
But like I always hit it by accident more than not. So like
Same.
I would get ones where like Amar would be like, "Why are we doing this right now? Like we're kicking ass. Like why are
Yeah.
we doing this?" And I'm like,
I don't want to do it.
I didn't
Yeah,
want to.
I think the activation for that maybe should have been different. I also feel like some certain situations, especially when like if your back is against the wall, it's effective. But any other time I used it or accidentally used it, I felt as if it just took the gameplay to a screeching halt. Like
Yeah.
it's like I don't want to do this right now because I have to wait for 2 people to say their thing, and then I have to pick something. There's all these animations, and it's like when you're in the middle of a fast-paced fight, you don't want to encounter that. You know what I mean? So I think that kind of took away from it.
Yeah. It was cool when it was finished though. Like you get your
Sure.
random song and like
Oh,
it
yeah.
was a good hype up thing, and like
Yeah.
every once in a while you get your your Rick roll, and
Sure.
that was a fun meme, I
Sure.
guess. But other than that, I mean, it was definitely way too long for what it was. Yes.
Yeah. Before we move into spoilers, last thing I want to touch on is just visuals and technical stuff.
Yeah.
I think the game looks gorgeous, whether you play it on quality or performance mode. All the next gen or the current gen consoles, I guess, whatever, have performance, so 60 cap FPS cap, sub 4K, or 30 FPS cap and 4K. The visuals are beautiful. The game's super colorful. I think I did detect some areas where like the resolution like tanked, I think, because of variable, or whatever it's called, dynamic resolution or whatever, to try to keep 60. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
It's not locked to 60 all the time. It's pretty good. But sometimes during combat, specifically when there's like a lot of, explosions or alpha effects and stuff on screen, it definitely drops. So also, Brett, don't worry, it's really not that big of a spoiler. The thing is mentioned at the very beginning of the game and constantly referred to by one character, so you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the visual or technical stuff?
As far as visuals go, I'd say it's definitely better than the Square Enix's previous outing with Avengers. Avengers was rough.
Yeah.
Even now it's rough. Like I've played it a little bit more recently, just because I'm trying to get ready for like the Spider-Man that just recently dropped.
Right.
If you saw the tweets and whatnot, but it's still like it has some weird visual bugs where like like textures will just disappear for a second and like stupid shit like that in Avengers. But it's a huge upgrade from that. I wouldn't give it anywhere close to like any of the Insomniac Spider-Man games, like that level. But I will say that I was very shocked by the visuals. The character animation was stellar. I would say, especially on like Star-Lord, Groot, and Rocket. Gamora not as much, and then Drax a little bit for a specific part, but we'll get into that. But like the facial animation was amazing.
Yeah.
You could really feel the actual emotion coming from these characters, both from the animation and the voice acting, which was superb. So yeah, overall, I want to play it over again. I don't know if I want to platinum it because I don't want to go through that hell.
Ugh, God.
But
If you're gonna try to platinum this game, just don't.
yeah, I'm assuming that they're gonna come with some sort of hot fix to fix some of the issues that you were having when you were trying to platinum it. Just because like they kind of need to, from like like an overall improvement of life thing. But overall, I'd say it's great. Speaking of improvement of life, I don't know how great it's going to be for like constant playing because it's a very linear game.
Yeah.
And when it's over, it's over.
Yeah.
There's not really much more. Like there is a new game plus, but like still, that's not anything to write home about.
There's no
in my
incentive
opinion.
really to go back, except that you
Yeah.
unlock like 4 new outfits for Star-Lord.
But even that's not enough incentive, in my opinion, to go for a completely new gameplay. Story-wise, though, it is worth for the replay if you want to change up your decision making, maybe, or if you want to do some different stuff when you first get to nowhere and whatnot like that. But you got different options because there's a specific part where I completely missed going somewhere when I got not least specific and vague spoiler possible. I got a ticket to go somewhere and I didn't go there. And then I lost the opportunity to go there.
Sure.
So I want to go back and at least get the opportunity to see what I could have seen. But yeah, man. Overall, visually, probably like a 7 out of 10. Nothing to write home about, but yeah.
Yeah, colorful, fun.
Yeah.
And I think to wrap it up before moving to spoilers, I think it would have benefited honestly for probably a couple more months of polish and QA testing with certain stuff, because there's like bugs, nothing game breaking, lots of annoyances, but nothing game breaking. But anyway, so this is everybody's actual warning that we are going to go into spoilers, more spoilers now. I apologize. We're doing this live, so it is what it is. I can't edit it out. I made a boo-boo.
We'll edit in post.
So apologies, but anyway, we're going to move into spoilers now. Big spoilers. If you don't want them, leave now.
Bye, Brett.
Leave now. Your warning's done. Okay.
All right.
Let's start again.
Fang Foom is dope.
Fing Fang Foom is the best boss fight in the game. I think that's one thing that's really lacking. This game is this big boss fights. As far as like the impact of them, you have the Fing Fang Foom fight. You have the Lady Hellbenders. What the fuck is that thing called?
Like the dog thing?
No, the thing, the big. I just put it on the screen. The big.
That's helpful.
Thing. The big thing, the whatever it's called, where you fight in her lair. when you're like
Yeah,
underneath of
I
her
don't remember
throne.
what the fight is. I played like 2 weeks ago, man.
The Leviathan looking. I don't fucking know, dude. Whatever.
Sure,
There's
her
that.
boss. Yeah.
Yeah, her boss. That you don't fight her, you fight this thing. And then
That
yes, there's that.
I forgot that one.
Yeah, that's the first or second one. I don't even fucking know. But
Yeah.
anyway, and then there's the what's his name at the end?
Adam Warlock.
Well,
But
yes,
as
Magus,
yeah,
but also Raker. Sorry,
as
that's it.
Maga. Yeah.
Raker.
Raker.
The
Oh
grand,
yeah, Raker.
grand unifier
yeah.
Raker. You fight him towards the end as well.
Yeah. I didn't like that fight at all, but
No, it's a very bad boss fight. But anyway, so you have those. So
Mhm.
let's start with, I think, again, where we start with 9 spoilers, is talking about some of these character stuff specifically. So one of the best parts of the game is the fact that, well, I guess we should back up. Nikki.
Yo.
Nikki is the most important character in the game, besides Star-Lord, obviously, I guess, and the Guardians. You meet her at the beginning of the game. She is this character, Corell's daughter. You dated Corell, and math is supposedly adding up that Nikki could be your daughter. She's not. This was revealed at the end of the game, correct? Like, they pretty much cemented that.
Because she's not Corell's daughter either.
Right. So.
Yeah, she's like a half blood. She's half of whatever the Nova Corps are, which I can't remember off the top of my head. It's in the actual movies as well, but I can't remember it.
Yeah.
But she's half that, half I guess Terran, which is human. And after the war, they were going around just killing any of the non-purebloods. And Corell saw the girl and was like, she was just too precious that I had to save her, pretty much, and raise her as her own.
Right. And so at the beginning of the game, you have one of the, I mentioned this when I was on your podcast, actually, one of the best walking and talking sequences, I think, in any video game I've ever played. Chapter 2 or 3, like very early on in the game, you get arrested. The Guardians get arrested, and you're on, the whatever that organization was, a ship, the Nova Corps ship, and it gets attacked and blown up by the church, by Grand Unifier Raker or whatever, and if shit goes to hell, you fall down this thing, and you have to basically help Nikki. Well, really, she helps you get out of this, explosion, and you navigate the ship, and you have this whole sequence, I mean, maybe 20, 30 minutes of just talking back and forth. And it's so evident that Quill has like some immediate kind of connection with Nikki right off of the bat. And they hit it off. And it is an incredible sequence that makes you care about both characters immediately.
Agreed. Yeah. It was really beautiful. My favorite part was like getting to her room and like him like just marveling at all of her paintings on the wall and shit. And like, because he was in the war, which is another thing that's referenced so much that like we never actually know in depth about what the war was or some shit. But he was in it and he fought with it, with the Ravagers, and that's where they first like hooked up and whatnot. And like him just like seeing all these paintings and stuff is bringing him back to then. Meanwhile, he's bonding with his child because he himself is pretty much a child because he was stolen from his home as that and never really had the chance to grow up in the way that he should have. It was just fucking gorgeous, man. And I loved every goddamn second. The little robots that she painted faces on in the hallways that look derpy as shit. Yeah. And he's like, these look cool as hell. Like,
it's just
good time.
And thinking back too, once you see the end of the game and where we go, which I mean, the reveal that she becomes the matriarch is insane. Like that, like I does not think of that. So, but we'll get to that in a second. But thinking back of it, it makes you sympathize and empathize with her. It makes her relatable to Quill. It makes her almost tragic that she is alone. Like her mom is this huge higher up as part of the Nova Corps, and she's trying to be an officer, and she has all of these privileges that she has experienced, obviously, but she's lonely, she's talented, but clearly like does not have a adult figure that she can look up to. which then, as the game continues, more stuff comes out about the church and Grand Unifier Raker, who you see at the very beginning of the game, and this terrible brainwashing that they're doing. And he keeps referring, you come across him and he keeps referring to this matriarch. The matriarch is going to save us all. The matriarch can grant everybody's wishes. And he is trying to get his son revived, basically bring back from the dead. And he is doing it through quote unquote faith energy. And later in the game, you discover that Nikki is the matriarch and Korel is dead. And she has basically been brainwashed to, help the Raker, the Grand Unifier, with his plan. And when that moment happens in the game, and it's revealed that she is the matriarch, because it's like not until halfway or a little bit later in the game, you keep hearing this character referred to over and over and over and over and over again, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna freaking kill this person. Like, it's terrible. Like, they're sucking the souls out of people, which is not really that, but kind of. They're all these people are being presented with realities that don't exist that they want, and they're using them to harness this quote unquote faith energy, which sounds weird, and it is, but then it's revealed that Nikki is the matriarch, and then you're like, oh
and she's got like Magus inside of her, which is later revealed to be a part of Adam Warlock,
right,
which is the thing,
right.
Which that's another thing that there was a lot of things I didn't expect to happen in this game. I didn't expect to see Adam Warlock. I didn't expect to see fucking there's like a part where you get to see all the Nova Corps like the actual Nova member, like Nova. Yandu you get to see in game as well with like a prison report. You get to see Fing Fang Foom, which is a big deal. There's so many like little things of like comic lore that you're just like, I did not think I was gonna see that shit. The one dude that you launch out into space.
I forget
what the fuck his
Jack
name
Frags.
is. Yeah, like that's such like an obscure comic character that didn't need to be in the game, but they like did this whole thing with him where you pretty much send him to like live in space in a prison cell and die slowly.
Which is funny if you choose to to eject him from the ship.
I 100% do.
So, me too.
Bye-bye. He's gone forever. But,
Yo, Ant in the chat, just mind you, we're talking spoilers right now.
Yes,
so
we are in the spoiler territory.
But yeah, so I guess continuing with like characters, is there anybody else specifically with the characters that you want to talk about? I think one of the most compelling characters in this is Drax as well. He has so much character development, and first of all, yes, he's funny. He's very funny. I laughed a lot from him in the game, but he is contextualized so well, and he's actually giving character development. And you find out that his family was killed by Thanos, and like
that was another thing. Thanos. So we get to fucking fight.
You get to fight Thanos in a very unique way.
Game,
so
dude.
Every Guardian has a past obstacle that they have to overcome, right? They want something which the matriarch makes them see to harness their faith energy, and you have to escape it, and you have to help. Quill has his escape from it, and you have to help the other Guardians escape their things. So at one point, you go inside of Drax's head, quite literally. You walk into his head
with the help of Mantis.
With the help of fucking Mantis, who is also in this game, by the way.
She's so good, man. I did not expect to love Mantis as much as I did, like with her like multiple universe like seeing ability. She's like, yeah, there's a universe where you and I are married, Star-Lord, and like shit like that. Like, and she's just walking on his back the whole time. Like
her nicknames for everybody. She calls Drax the Green Meanie, Little Fuzzy for Rocket, Star Guy. So she's very good. But yeah, so you walk into Drax's head, and you fight Thanos. A manifestation of him, but you fight Thanos because the story goes that Drax's family was killed by Thanos, and he has to basically overcome and accept that his wife and daughter are gone. And he has to overcome that, and you as the Guardians help him overcome that. And then, what I love they do so well too is that they relate that to them unlocking kind of their final form, if you will, their final guardian ability once you help them overcome whatever that might be.
Dude, Thanos looked abysmal in this game. I want to point that out real quick.
He did. Let's take a look at him. Look at his face.
I was just looking at him for like a solid 30 seconds there, and now I'm gonna have to look at him again in a minute. There he is.
So yeah, Drax is awesome. Gamora, similarly has to deal with the fact that she killed her sister.
That I felt not good about. I thought they kind of did Gamora dirty, if I'm being honest. I think they kind of glossed over her like big moment, as opposed to like Drax, who like was a very big plot point with like, the whole walking into you walk into this motherfucker's head.
Right.
Like that's a visual you're going to remember forever.
Right.
For Gamora, it's like very, very quick and like not that big of a deal. And then I was fully expecting to have like something happen and like go on like this journey with Gamora, like similar to Drax. And then it was just like, here, you've unlocked Gamora's ability.
Yeah.
You made a joke about farming and family.
I understand that, and I agree with you to a point. I feel like they did that because Gamora kind of went off and did that stuff herself.
Yeah.
She runs away to fight Grand Unifier Raker, and she brings back an arm. And there is a conversation, actually, that you have. So there's Guardian collectibles in the game. I don't know if you got any of those, but so basically there are collectibles that you find that then appear on the ship, and you can go to the different Guardians rooms, pick them up, and then when you put them down, it starts a conversation. There was some things done storytelling wise that I think a lot of people might have missed, because if you didn't get all of I think Gamora has 3 or 4 Guardians collectibles.
I think I got like 2 for her, so I might have missed some.
If you don't get all of them for her, then you miss out on some of these conversations. And her and Quill specifically talk about that element of like why she went off to fight Raker, and this more stuff about her sister. And she was like, I have had to basically live up to Thanos my entire life, and I was brainwashed to wanting to do that. I wanted to do this by myself.
Okay.
So that's how they not explain it away, but fill that in. And the other thing I thought of too is like maybe from like a technical perspective, it's like, well, how similar would that be to Drax's? Because Drax fights Thanos. You would assume that Gamora's would also kind of be similar to Thanos. It might include Nebula, but so maybe that's why they did it too. But you're right. They definitely give more time to Drax and Rocket than they do to Gamora and the tree.
Yeah,
group.
I loved Rockets, to be honest with you. That one was surprisingly good for me. Just because the thing is, like, it wasn't as like visually appealing as Drax's whole like, his journey and like seeing his family, stabbing his family to like break out of it and whatnot. But like the performance from the voice actor during there's like a scene where you're fighting yourselves, and like every time you beat yourself, 2 more show up, and like they're all like they just keep bombarding you, and like Gamora gets knocked down, and then Drax get knocked down, and then like Groot's down, and you gotta like pick them all back up, and like you're like, come on, Rocket, please, we really need you to go like through this waterfall to go plant this charge. But he's like during this whole fight just pretty much explaining the horrors that happened to him that made him who he is right now. And it was done so well, and like by the end of it, like you're just like, oh yeah, you just went through a fucking hurdle there mentally, and we appreciate the fuck out of you for it, because if not, we would have just died. And then he just like kind of shrugs it off and shit. We're like, no, like we really appreciate you. And then like later on, like he'll go and he's walking in water. He's like, yeah, it's no big fucking deal. Like, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Like, just walking, no problem.
They do such a good job of, I don't know, like contextualizing anxiety for people that I was honestly blown away. And you're talking about a fucking raccoon that doesn't like water, but the way that it's handled, it's like, no, this is a phobia he has. This is a fear because of some shit that he has been through that you have to help him with. And it also contextualizes every conflict between him and Quill prior to that in the story so well. It's because Rocket does actually really care about everybody a lot, probably more than anybody else on the team, and Quill specifically, right? Like he feels that family there. So usually when people have trust issues, right, they would manifest it in that way. And when you're playing as Quill through the beginning of the game, you're like, dude, Rocket, get the fuck over yourself, dude. Like, you are annoying me. And then he goes to nowhere and he runs around and he ignores you. But it is kind of the way that they put it in context later on is so good, and it makes those moments. There's two moments in the game that almost made me choke up. One is when you're with Drax. I think it's right after Drax's thing, and the team hugs or whatever. There's another time later. It's after Rocket is done. I think it was with Gamora's final thing, and then they hug again, and it's cool because Rocket is totally about the love at that point, and Gamora is trying to get over what she just went through or whatever. And I forget, Rocket says something, and it like made me choke up, and I'm like, this is done so well. The character development is so well. Where you are at the end with the team and how effective it is when you look back at like the course of the game, it makes everything seem so much more intentional than you might realize when you're playing it initially.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Yes.
So let's continue to move on here. I know there's a lot of characters, obviously.
Yeah,
but
what was the dude in the bar's name? It was like Laser Lips or some shit.
Laser Lips.
Yeah, the guy, you go in the bar and then he starts singing the song with you.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember? Were you chasing after Rocket? He's in the bar and nowhere. You didn't go in the bar.
I did go into a bar because I needed
There was
collectibles.
a guy that like put a gun to the back of your head and he's like, Star-Lord.
Oh,
his face is like Laser Lips or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I forgot. And you sing a song with him.
Yeah, I do remember that. Okay.
That was a good time.
I was going in the bar to get a collectible.
Listen.
So
I was going to the bar to have a moment.
But the whole cast is great. Obviously, we don't have time to talk about all of them, but Groot is also fantastic in this. I saw people were annoyed by him. I don't know why. I thought Groot was great, and the interplay between him and Star-Lord was cool too, because you don't understand each other. And I feel like he said and did the I am Groot stuff very well, way better than Vin Diesel. Sorry, to add context to what he was saying, and you understood him without actually understanding what he was saying, which I thought was good. And he has an awesome ability that comes into play at the end of the Fing Fang Foom fight, which is one of the reasons why that fight is so cool. But is there any other characters specifically you want to talk about, I guess, before we move on to some other stuff? Lady Hellbender, Cosmo.
Hellbender was cool. I'm not as big of a fan as her because I knew from when they first put out the trailer. I think it was trailer and like gameplay from her. It was like a solid 5-10 minutes of like her and Drax interacting when they're first flirting and they're showing off like how you make choices. I immediately knew there that she wasn't that big of a deal of a character, so I was like, oh yeah, she's just like there, whatever.
Until later, of course.
True.
Which she helps.
Yeah, begrudgingly. I'm trying to think of any characters that stood out. Adam Warlock was weird.
Yeah, I understand his part in the story, right? Like the Grand Unifier Rakers basically started this whole thing and twisted Adam Warlock's very existence into what the church was, which is what leads to, whatever, because again, Grand Unifier Raker's son died and he wants to resurrect him, basically. So I understand that, but he felt like he came in very late into the game, and when he came in, I was like, whoa, who the fuck is this and why should I care? And then I felt that way again almost when there's the whole Magus fight at the very end. I'm like, why? I feel like our story is done. Like, why are we doing this again right now? And the only thing I could think of is like, they are doing this to set up the future big bad, maybe. Because while you defeat him and it's contained for now, how long can Adam Warlock, I guess, contain Magus? However you want to
Soulstone, it was just weird to me. Like, he just kind of showed up out of nowhere, like you said. And then, like, I wasn't opposed to him existing.
Mhm.
I thought he was literally going to be like a mantis where like he was there for when you needed him and then gone. But then like he was just there for like the whole entire Drax thing, which I thought was kind of weird.
Mhm.
And like it was just an interesting thing where I'm like, he's here because we just met him, I get it, but also like it's weird. Then when he like does the fucking quick change into his costume and like shaves and shit,
Mhm.
I'm like, what the fuck is this? What's happening? I don't care. And it's I don't know. He's like space Jesus. That's his gimmick. But like
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm like, okay, I guess you couldn't technically tell this story without him because Magus is a part of him, and that's what the Soul Stone's for. And like
Right.
it makes sense. But also, maybe we just don't.
Right.
Just take him and put him over there.
Right. Right. Um. All right. So let's see. Let's get back to I guess the crux of the story, really, which is this faith energy stuff and the church.
Hmm.
One of the most breathtaking parts in the game for me is when you have that skiff sequence and
Dude.
you go up, and I'm gonna put it on the screen in a second once I find the screenshot of it. But
That was such a crazy scene.
you go up in this skiff, and then here it is, and it's revealed that there are millions, basically, of people in this place that are going through their visions, right, and having this faith energy drawn out of them. And this
Hmm.
sequence, this screenshot that's on the screen right now, this does not do it justice enough. But you come up, and the sheer mass of it, and when you realize that there are people surrounding this huge thing going into the matriarch, it's like I remember legitimately saying, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Like, it's breathtaking.
Dude, it was crazy because like I thought it was just like some video game magic bullshit where it's like, a matte painting or some shit.
Right.
But like if you look down from your skiff, you can see each individual person is like
Yep.
all like got their arms up, like like giving Goku their power type shit. And like they're all animated, every single one's moving, every single one is a person. While they're not like defined enough to be like, oh, that's this race or that race, it's enough to be like, this is a lot of power of like rendering and like just a very cool feat. Even if it isn't like that big of a deal, it looked fucking insane.
Yeah. It was cool. So I did want to mention that because it is visually cool. It's important to the story. It shows the reach, quote unquote,
Yeah.
of this kind of twisted guarantee from the church. There's obviously elements about, faith and religion and all of that stuff there, which is very evident and prevalent throughout the game, and how you can twist people's basically what they want and their desires into this, and that is the faith energy. And there's a line in the game too later when you're talking to the world mind, and you try to explain that as Peter Quill to the world mind, and they're like, that doesn't make any sense. And as Star-Lord's like, yeah, well, you know what, the power that runs you doesn't really make any sense either, but here we are. And that is, if it was done poorly, that could have been read as them explaining it off, but it is done in a way where you have seen the effect it has specifically on all the Guardians. So who is to argue and say that that's not tangible? And the way that they explain that, I thought that was a really very well executed way to explain the power of this entity that they are fighting. Yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah, man. That's a good game. I don't know what to say, man. It's a good fucking game. Like,
it is.
It's one of those things where it's like when we're talking about it in like this detail and like you explain it like that, like I definitely when I'm playing it, I'm like, yes, this is what they're doing. But then once I'm done, I kind of just potato brain it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I shot a lot of stuff, and that was cool. But like, there's a lot of like really good metaphor and fucking like comparison that they do in this game. Like, I don't know if you would kind of say real world shit with like the religion, but like it works like really well and like paints a picture of how that can be dangerous if it's given to the wrong hands. And like it's insane and how it can affect people in different ways, and like how it affected this little girl who just wanted her mom or pseudo mom
Right.
back when nothing could be changed, and she just had to deal with it. And that was such a heartbreaking scene too, when
Yeah.
you're like in the mind of the matriarch and you're there with Nikki, and like this is like your third time setting up the birthday party
Yeah.
for Corel to come back, and
Yeah.
like you just start destroying
Yeah,
everything.
man.
You have to like talk her off the fucking ledge, dude.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to like choose what to say, because obviously it's a 50-50 choice of what you're going to say from the choices, obviously, or you can just remain silent
Right.
technically, for some of them at least. But like it's still hard to choose the right words for like that scene, and I felt like this pressure of like I need to say the right thing, or else
Mhm.
this little girl is literally just going to end all life in the galaxy by ending herself
Right.
in a way.
Right.
And it was crazy. I felt like I was literally talking someone off the fucking ledge. Like
Yeah. And what makes that first of all, that's an excellent point, and that's one of the most heartbreaking sequences in the
Yeah.
game, because you're literally crushing this child's dreams. But one of the interesting things that I don't know if you picked up on, but I'm sure you will remember, is that every character except for Star-Lord said that they rather have that reality that is fake than deal with what is real. And each time, Star-Lord is the one that helps them realize that's not what you need,
yeah.
because it's not real and it's a farce. And Nikki says that too. She's like, I don't care if it's not real. This is better than the actual reality itself. And then you think about how many people in real life dealing with actual crap have some sort of twisted way of thinking that way too. It's like, I know this is wrong. I know all of these things are wrong and are bad. But the alternative, I feel, is so much worse, which in reality it's not, because it's the truth and you have to deal with it. So
yeah, it's a heavy game, man. There's a lot of like heavy tones there, and like there's points where it's hard to get through, whether it be Drax's part, even Rocket's part. I'm sure is triggering to a lot of people.
Sure.
Like I'm actually surprised that there's not some sort of trigger warning for like some of the stuff that they get into, because like while it's not on the nose, like like Nikki sounds very much suicidal. We can just say that straight
sure.
out of the gate.
That's not glazed
Yeah.
over at all. That is 100%. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not directly like she's gonna kill herself. Like, she's not like fucking like writing that like her note and everything. It's just it's so subtle, but it's enough to like get you to a point where you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, but in effect, that is what she is doing, and she acknowledges that much.
Yeah.
So
and it's hard to get through. I'm very, very surprised there isn't much of a trigger warning, but at the same time, I feel like it's done well enough where it doesn't need it. Maybe.
Yeah,
I guess
it's done very well. It's not like what was that Netflix show? Whatever. I'm sure somebody.
Stranger Things.
No. The one about suicide with the tapes.
13 Reasons
13
Why.
Reasons Why. Yeah, it's not like that where it's like,
On the
here's
nose.
us showing it. It's like done well. So anyway, let's move on. Yeah, thanks, Yuki. 13 Reasons Why. Let's move on
That was
from
my
that.
13th reason why right there.
Because we could talk about that ad nauseum, but I do want to get into maybe just a couple of the technical stuff and trophies. I need to talk about the trophies for at least 5 minutes, and then I will shut up about it. But technical issues, we kind of talked about in the non-spoiler section. I did have some issues with infinite ledge loops, where like you had this, like Uncharted or something, go across ledges back and forth to get into certain areas. And you would literally get across the ledge, and then it would lock you in, and you have to go back across, and it would lock you in, and you would just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And there was one area in particularly where you could usually get out of it by just loading the last checkpoint. There's one area that the actual part of the game is bugged. There's a collectible on the other side that you need. I had to cheese it. I looked up a video by rocket jumping out of the map and glitching to the other side of it to get the collectible. That's no good. That's bad. Fix that, please.
Yeah. I don't know what to say to that, because it's just one of those things where it's like, I feel your pain. Like, I was gonna go for the platinum, but I know for a fact I'm not now.
Don't do it right now, man.
I will not. I refuse.
Save states are a mess in this
Yeah.
game. First of all, you only get 3, which is fine. I like to alternate my saves between multiple slots. I'm an RPG player. That's just what I do. Because if I'm like, I made a choice, I don't like that, I'm gonna go back. I'm sorry. But the problem is that when you save, right, and when you do a manual save, to me, I'm manually saving for a reason, game. Do not touch my save state because I am manually saving it for a reason, which is why a lot of games have an auto-save slot, and then you have all of your manual save slots. This game, though, you can manual save. When you reach the next checkpoint, it is going to overwrite your manual save with an auto-save. And that screwed me out of being able to get one of the trophies later in the game where you have to pay your Nova Core fine, because I was like, let me make a save because I know what I'm about to do is probably going to screw that when you're on nowhere. And I think I talked to you about this before, but there's the cup game and you get swindled, and it's obvious you're going to get swindled. But I was like, I'm going to I'll make a manual save and I'll try, and if it screws me, then I'll go back.
Yeah.
And I knew that. But the thing is, once you make that choice and it does screw you, it overwrites your manual save, and it fucked me out of being able to do that.
Dude, that was a funny moment, because like when I'm playing this game, I'm not going for trophies like you are with your like trophy guide and whatnot.
Yeah.
So like I'm just like leisurely playing, and like I missed out the whole entire section of going to the collector's like museum, I guess, of his collection, because I just didn't know I had to go right away. Fucking I went and I played that cup game and I got swindled. And the thing is, like it's like the ball and there's the 3 cups and then it moves,
Right.
Every fucking baseball game has one on the big screen, and it literally lies. It like you lose because they cheat. Like the machine cheats and steals your money.
Right.
And I thought it was like the funniest thing. I was like, oh, that's funny. That's no big deal. Because like you don't use the credits for anything in the game as far as I was doing it as of that point.
Well, yeah, and
So
you don't up to that point.
Exactly. And then like when you get to the part where you go to pay your fine, and like they're like either pay your fine or get the fuck out, pretty much. I was like, I mean, I'm not going to use this money for anything else. Like, I haven't, and it's chapter fucking 14.
Right.
There's 16 in this game. I guess I'll pay my fine, sure.
Right.
As if it would matter.
Right. Yeah, so I guess continuing to talk about, unless you have any other technical stuff you want to talk about.
My only thing was like where you would get stuck in spots. That happened to me way too many times for comfort.
Yeah. Oh, that's that one thing I did want to mention with the technical thing, which I didn't mention in the beginning because it's a spoiler. When you fight Grand Unifier Raker at the end, it's a big platform, right? You can fall off the platform.
Okay.
That circular thing. At one point, I backed up because I didn't realize the edge was there, and I fell off the platform, except I got stuck in an infinite falling loop, and I was at the end of the boss fight. I had to reload the boss fight from the beginning, and that boss fight is not hard. It's fucking annoying and long.
Yeah.
It's annoying and long.
There was I forgot about this because I guess I repressed it because it was bad. There was a moment where you're making your way to that end area where like the platform is, and it takes you there, and you're in like these hallways, and you're making your way through a bunch of these people that are like brainwashed and shit. And there's a hallway that like cuts up and to your right, and there's a door, like an elevator door that's not supposed to open or something. And I'm Star-Lord, so I go to use my little bomb drop thing. So I like zoom into the middle of the people and then do my little bomb drop, and then I tried to zoom out, but I zoomed into the elevator door by accident. And I was stuck in the door. But I could still shoot people. So like I killed all of the enemies in the area, and then I'm just standing there and I can't get out. I'm using all my moves and shit. I did the fucking L1R1, got everyone together and like, hey, group up, guys. Still didn't get out. I had to reload the checkpoint and play the whole thing over again, which is like a 20-minute hallway scene. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? But
there's a lot of stuff like that, and there's times where stuff like that happened to me where you'd get stuck and you couldn't get out, but you could still shoot, and sometimes it would like quickly fade to black and then reset.
yeah.
But then there was a lot of times where it didn't do that, and I'm like, why are you not doing this? Why are you not resetting yourself right now? Because I clearly can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, like these are like minuscule problems. Like, don't get me wrong, it was extremely abysmal and not
Sure.
a good time. But like, it took me 2 seconds to fucking reload my checkpoint.
Yeah.
I had to fight through the hallway, but it took no time because I'm fighting the same grunts that I've been fighting the whole fucking game.
right,
So
it's not game breaking stuff.
Yeah.
Just annoying.
Yeah.
And would have benefited from probably a couple more months of Q&A bug testing.
100%. I agree. Yes.
All right, so let's touch on trophies. Now, we both played it on PS5, obviously, in the PlayStation ecosystem. I know it's on every platform. It's on PC, too.
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I can Google.
Yeah, I think it's on every platform. But anyway, so we both played on PS5. I like trophies. I like getting a trophy once in a while. I like getting a platinum trophy once in a while.
Do you? PGA Tour?
Listen, dude. Don't... I am in 0.1% of the world population that is the proud owner of a platinum trophy for that game, and I'm going to die on that hill. So, anyway, I do have the platinum for Guardians of the Galaxy. It took me 6 hours longer than it should have. I beat the game in like 14 or 15 hours, and I have a total playtime of like 21 or 22 hours now. Those last 6 hours are from me trying to get the platinum trophy. So here's the thing. There is RNG involved with this game in the sense that there are these things called call to actions, I think they called them.
Yeah.
Where
you like press square or not circle and triangle at the same time?
Not
right?
those. So those are not call to actions. Those are
then I have no idea then.
So call to actions are like when you stun an enemy. If their health is low enough and then you stun them, a button prompt will appear very briefly, and then one of the guardians will come and finish that character,
okay.
or rip a limb off of that enemy that you're fighting,
yeah.
or something
I know
like
what
that.
you're talking about, yeah.
So you have to stun the enemy; they have to be low health. Now, getting Groot to do this, no problem. Getting Gamora to do this, all the time. Getting Drax to do this took me 6 hours. There's a trophy called Drax the Dismemberer where you have one level in the game, one fight in the game, and one opportunity in the game to accomplish this trophy. It's Chapter 7, the first time you fight an Inquisitor, which are those big robot priest things or whatever.
The goop guys.
Yeah, you have to have Drax rip the arm off of one of them. Didn't happen for me the first time I played through, and I was like, you know what? It's fine. There'll be other opportunities later in the game, no problem. This is not the only time I'm going to fight this enemy. Well, guess what? It only works in that first encounter with them. So I was like, you know what? It's fine. Later, when I couldn't pay the Nova Corps fine, I was like, I have a save in Chapter 5. I'll just play from Chapter 5 through to when I am going to pay the Nova Corps fine, and I'll get it. No problem. So I made an intentional extra save, and then I beat the game when I went back. I played through Chapter 5, Chapter 6, I got to Chapter 7. I was like, okay, cool. It's my opportunity. I have to do this. I overwrote every single save that I had. I was like, I'm doing this. Every single save was overwritten because I was like, I'm not fucking around with the checkpoint, screw me, whatever it is. Dude, I try for 4 hours reloading this checkpoint in this fight. Gamora pulls it off. Groot pulls it off. That's it. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I'm following guides to a T. I'm trying other stuff. I'm raising the difficulty up all the way. It wasn't happening. It got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm not getting the platinum trophy. I'm done. I wasted 4 hours. I was like, I'm going to just go pay the Nova Corps fine. I finished it, did that, and I turned the game off. And I was sitting there. This is the last trophy I need for the platinum. And I'm sitting there, and I'm literally seething in my seat. Right? I'm tweeting. I tweeted at EDO. I was so mad, dude. I was pissed off. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try again. And it's going to happen immediately. I go back in and I try again. An hour goes by. It still didn't happen. And I kept going and going and going and going and going. Now, mind you, too, what I forgot to mention is I had multiple opportunities where I raised the difficulty, intentionally downed every other Guardian, revived Drax, and then I would not get the prompt. It would give me the circle triangle prompt to end the fight instead. It just wouldn't come up.
Yeah.
And then another hour later, and I finally, I don't know what happened. I lowered the difficulty back down to easy, and I was like, I'm just going to keep doing it till it happens. And another hour later, it did. 6 hours for one trophy. 6 hours for one trophy. I see some things in the chat here. I'm jealous you even were playing something for 6 hours. Yeah. Missable Platinum should be done away with. And that's the crux of my argument, is that RNG for trophies should not be a thing. Returnal had them. This game had them. Don't do that to people. Don't do it. And that's the end of my rant.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like one of those things where it's like, yes, I agree with you, but it's, at the same time, if you think about it, that's the only way that they can have this game be played more than the 16 hours.
Yeah,
Like,
but I like to
you
know
know?
what I have to do to accomplish something. And when I
Yeah.
know what I have to do to accomplish something, and I'm actively doing it, and you don't give me the thing that I'm supposed to get for doing the thing, I don't like you.
I agree. That is why I am not going for the platinum, and I refuse to specifically.
Yeah. And it's not even like it's a rare trophy. Like 25 or 26%, according to PSN profiles, of people have that trophy and the platinum. Which I guess means maybe 1 out of 4 people.
Yeah.
Only 1 out of 4 people get it, but
And there's 4 guardians that you control.
fuck. I guess the math adds up. Anyway.
The math adds up that it's not good.
Yeah. But yeah, so that really, really pissed me off. I had to mention it. I persevered and I got it, and then as soon as I did, I said, fuck this game, and I deleted it. But it's great. All right. Anything else you want to say? Because I know we've been going for over an hour now. Anything else you want to say, spoiler related, before we kind of wrap up?
I don't know, man. Spoiler related, I would just nothing spoiler specific. I would just say that this is one of the most shockingly good games that I've played in a while. It lived up. When it first they announced it and like we saw that trailer for it, I was like, "Oh, this is crazy! This is out of nowhere." I think it was E3 maybe when they first talked about it.
Yeah,
it was very, very recent, and it looked like it was a completed game then. And like to be fair, like if I go back and watch that trailer, it's pretty much what I played, and that trailer did not do the emotional and amazingly told story justice in the least bit, because the gameplay, it's mid-tier. Like,
yeah,
if you want to play any other game, go play Avengers and you're playing this game pretty much gameplay wise, as of this point I would at least compare it to. You're playing pretty much Iron Man from Avengers in this game, but with cool music, and the story is just phenomenal. That's all I can say. Is it worth $60? Maybe 50, and it is on sale right now at Walmart for 50. So, like Brett said earlier in the chat, and then like there's the whole buy 2 get 1 free at Target if you can do that. But I would say if you can get this on sale, 100%. Don't expect great gameplay, but expect to tear up a couple times, if not cry. Maybe be triggered by a couple things emotionally if they're specific to you. But like it's insane. It's a great fucking time.
Yeah, I do want to mention what Yuki said in the chat. And I'm going to throw the spoiler tag back up again for 1 second, because Space Llama is an incredible character.
I
Save
forgot about the fucking Space Llama.
the llama at the beginning of the game. You want the llama. You want the Space Llama on the ship.
Yes.
And every opportunity you have, interact with and look at what the Space Llama is doing. You will not be disappointed. Anyway. I agree with you. I think this game is well worth the price tag that comes with it. I think it's a phenomenal game. The characters, the story. I hope we get more with this specific team of Guardians in the future and in this kind of universe with them. I can't recommend it enough. I love the game. Please play it and support it.
Hell yeah.
So
I agree entirely.
All right, Christian. Well, that was what I thought was a pretty kind of in-depth look
Hell
at the
yeah.
game. I think we talked about a lot there.
Hell yeah, man.
Where, first of all, again, thank you for joining me
No problem at
for
all.
spoiler discussion review. Where can people find you? Say before quitting, all that stuff.
Yeah, you could find me over on Say Before Quitting podcast. That's on all audio platforms every single Thursday, and then video versions out on Fridays. That's Save the Letter B, the number 4 on all socials. And we got some new merch that we just put out today. So if anyone wants to go check that out, it's nothing amazingly special. It's just kind of a new option for you guys. But yeah, man. Talking a lot of games. Ant's got some nice retro streams going on as of late that are insane.
He is, by the way, I don't know if Ant's still watching or not. Dude, you are good at video games. That's
It was weird because like I know that Ant's good at video games, and I always feel like I've only really played games with him that are like Smash Brothers. I know he's great at, so I already knew that. I played Mario Party with him, which I don't really count as a game that you can be good at, and then like shooters. But then he was playing Mega Man X2 the other day, and this dude is just hitting his shots like it's no big deal. And I was like, I felt like I was watching like a speed run. It was insane. But not to hype. Oh, you're doing an OG stream tonight, said Ant. Well, look
good
at
stuff.
that.
Good
Go
stuff.
watch that later. I won't be able to be there because I'll be watching the Eternals.
I'll be watching and probably messing up this Lego build that I'm still trying to finish.
Do we need to have an intervention for you for that, by the way?
It's been a difficult week. I'll just say that.
All right. Are you buying the AT-AT walker actually, or was that more of a meme? I'm not gonna say that you should or shouldn't. It is $800, but apparently there's a free gift of getting Luke Skywalker's lightsaber.
I'll probably buy it. Anyway, please subscribe to Say Before Quitting. Follow them on all socials. Go buy their merch, support them. We also have merch. Buy our merch, support us. Follow Haptic Intel on all socials as well. And did you know, Christian, that only 70% of people that watch Haptic Intel's content are not subscribed?
The hell are they doing?
I don't know what they're doing. Subscribe
What the fuck are you
to
doing?
the channel, please. It helps us out. It helps us out.
One click. What the fuck?
That's right. Do it.
New follower.
Oh, thank you for following, Yuki. I'm pretty sure you already followed. That's
Fucking
probably why
follow.
you said oops. Yeah, so do that. Subscribe, follow everywhere, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all of that stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you again for joining me, Christian. Thank you everybody in the chat that joined us. Goodbye.
Bye.
New follower.
Ant wasn't following either.